Husband tengah tengok bola. Yang, I nak cerita kat you ni.
Yeah. So that's very common. Betul.
Yeah.
Ya, selalunya lelaki dia kata, tapi timing tu tak betul. Tu masalahnya. Then selalunya wanita akan tanya balik. Isteri dia selalu tanya balik kalau dalam couple session. Then when is the right timing?
Hai, Assalamualaikum. Bersama dengan aku, Pijo, editor maskulin dalam Gentle Cakap. Istimewanya kali ini, kami bawakan satu siri podcast Krisis Kaum Adam. Korang mesti tertanya-tanya, apa itu Krisis Kaum Adam? Krisis Kaum Adam adalah satu platform yang kita buka untuk dan wujudkan untuk sama-sama mengajak lelaki untuk berfikir sejenak. Kita nak pecahkan kesunyian dan kesengsaraan lelaki-lelaki di luar sana yang berdepan dengan masalah yang terpendam dalam dada mereka. Kita sama-sama nak buka jalan dan sekaligus kita nak mengubah lanskap bahawa lelaki sebenarnya ada cara untuk keluar dari masalah. Kita sebagai lelaki, kita perlu pilih untuk bersuara dan take a stand for our well-being. Krisis Kaum Adam yang kami bawakan ini bukan omong kosong atau bukan borak-borak yang orang cakap tak ada faedah. Sebab kita tampilkan beberapa pakar dan orang yang berpengalaman untuk sama-sama kita merungkai setiap topik berkaitan dengan kesihatan lelaki. Sudah tiba masanya kita sama-sama sebagai orang lelaki untuk ke depan dan admit kalau kita ada masalah, jangan malu, jangan segan, terus ke hadapan. Seperti yang aku cakap tadi, kita perlu bersuara dan take a stand for our well-being. Hai, selamat sejahtera. Assalamualaikum. Bersama dengan aku lagi, Pijo, editor maskulin. Untuk kali ini, episod Gentle Cakap, kita ada salah satu siri Krisis Kaum Adam. Dan episod kali ini, kita akan explore dan merungkai lebih lanjut tentang komunikasi dan emosi seorang lelaki dalam hubungan bersama pasangan. Kita sebagai lelaki kadang-kadang mengabaikan perkara-perkara penting seperti komunikasi dan emosi tersebut. Kita kadang-kadang terlalu selesa ataupun dalam comfort zone sehingga kan kurang memberikan perhatian betapa pentingnya komunikasi ini terhadap hubungan sama ada fizikal ataupun intimacy. Kita sebagai lelaki perlu take a stand of our well-being. Kita perlu lebih jelas, perlu lebih berani dan perlu lebih ke depan untuk take over diri sendiri dan memberikan yang terbaik kepada bukan saja dalam hubungan, especially kepada pasangan itu sendiri. Bersama kita hari ini, kita ada Andrea Koh. Hai, selamat datang.
Hai.
Rasa segan pula je. Andrea merupakan seorang seksologis dan daripada Rekindle Center of Systemic Therapy. Dia bukan calon-calon orang, ada kelulusan yang tinggi, especially dalam professional counselling dan juga seksologi. Okay, Andrea, first question I nak tanya you lah. On my perspective sendiri sebagai lelaki, what is the communication yang boleh membantu hubungan lelaki dan wanita yang seringkali diperlekehkan oleh lelaki? Can you explain what kind of communication yang di-define sebagai healthy communication?
I think yang paling common selalunya yang saya lihat dalam therapy session, dalam general life juga is mainly macam emotional connection, bercakap lebih kepada emosi, right? Focus more on that. I think yang tu kebanyakan couple rasa macam susah sikit untuk bercakap tentang emosi. Kita selalu kepada solution focus, right? Cari solusi penyelesaian, then okay, tutup cerita. Atau kita akan we will avoid bercakap pasal masalah and we just pretend everything is okay, right? So I rasa itu yang it's not true lah. Kalau kita tak bergaduh, tak bermaksudnya aman, tak bermaksudnya bagus actually.
Kalau dalam perkahwinan tu sendiri, kalau tak bergaduh sebenarnya tu tak normal.
Ya, betul. Sebab selalunya kalau couple datang, mereka bagi tahu, bagus je tak bergaduh pun. Okay, so I selalu cakap, okay, tak bergaduh, then macam mana you bercakap pasal masalah yang susah untuk berbincang? Then diam je semua. Sebab artinya mereka tak pernah bercakap pun.
Is it both of them avoid confrontational conversation atau macam mana?
So bergantung kepada personality couple. Selalunya yang common is memang yang wanita ialah yang consider pursue lah, yang selalu cari, yang selalu panggil, yang selalu nak berbincang. And then lelaki selalunya yang nak either dia nak cari penyelesaian, tapi kalau dia tak dapat cari penyelesaian untuk masalah itu, then dia selalu avoid, shut down, tak nak bercakap, right? Sebab nak keep the peace. So there are wanita yang pun sama macam tu juga. So there are wanita yang jenis yang will keep the peace as well. So tak nak bergaduh, tak nak ungkit, tak nak bawa masalah sebab nak aman. So end up kalau tak bergaduh, isu tu tak diselesaikan, and then you pendam, resentment akan menjadi lah.
Okay, cakap pasal communication ni kan. Different people, macam you cakap tadi lah, different people having a different personalities. Ada yang orang talkative, ada orang pendiam.
Betul.
Tapi adakah traits ini boleh menjejaskan communication diorang sebagai couple?
Memang sebab everyone datang dari upbringing yang berbeza, right? So personality kita ni actually mold dari macam mana you dengan keluarga you juga, macam mana you membesar dengan keluarga. So kalau you jenis yang pendiam dalam keluarga juga, and then you tengok mak bapak pun tak bergaduh, tak ada bercakap pasal masalah and things like that, then that is what you learn in terms of what couple do. And then kalau wife side, wanita pun do the same thing. And then when you come into your relationship, we belajar apa yang kita lihat, what we see in our family, we bring into our marriage. So that's where personality pun bergantung macam mana upbringing, and then we datang masuk dalam, and that's where a lot of couple rasa susah nak adapt to the different culture yang pasangan mereka bawa. Dan mereka kata, dan selalu mereka akan guna sebab upbringing tak sama, sebab tu masalah berlaku and things like that. But but doesn't mean that what you learn in your family is the correct way.
Okay, in our culture, especially us lah, orang timur kan, and dan juga kebanyakan orang Islam kat luar sana, lelaki ni dia diberi pemahaman bahawa mereka perlu dominan dalam hubungan pasangan lah, disebabkan mereka bertindak sebagai ketua keluarga. Do you think this kind of responsibility can be a burden for a man untuk meluahkan komunikasi tu dengan betul?
Yeah, and I think it's good that you bring this up, sebab saya pun rasa macam dalam society we all hari ni kan is whereby men need to be dominant, men need to be the provider, right? Men need to be strong, men need to be like not emotional and things like that. So
suppress your feeling.
Yeah, suppress your feeling. Don't cry. Don't show that you are weak in that sense. And dia memang memberi banyak pressure, beban kepada lelaki to be a certain way, right? And I ada klien yang datang for individual session, and they share this pressure on like saya tak pasti if I'm good enough for my wife, for my partner, right? And it's sad to see that men need to go through this, right? Because kenapa tanggungjawab ni perlu dipikul oleh lelaki sahaja, especially now both husband and wife, most of the time we see both of them are working, right? So both can be a provider. It's not just one person be a provider. But women also, wanita dari kecil sampai besar, we are trained to be a follower. We are trained to like jangan bersuara, jangan lawan cakap, right? Ikut je, jangan biar husband yang buat decision making. So end up wanita pun jadi lebih timid in that sense, right? Tak berani nak bersuara. So bila datang kahwin, then that's the type of isteri dia akan jadi, sebab that is what you have trained the woman to be. So kalau husband tiba-tiba nak wanita, nak isteri dia bersuara, nak isteri dia express lebih, macam you are asking something that a person was never trained for. And then sama juga kalau wanita suruh husband, oh saya nak you lebih bagi tahu, jujur pasal emosi you, how you are feeling. Kalau lelaki tu tak ada dilatih untuk beremosi, merasa perasaan, meluahkan kelemahan mereka, it's like they cannot do it. You cannot ask this from your husband as well.
Okay, for many men, I consider myself jugalah. Dulu, I selalu anggap communication is about talking. Sebenarnya communication is more way than that kan. Communication is the way you express your face, your body language. Do you think that kind of overall communication tu breaks down the hubungan pasangan yang mungkin daripada awal dia orang tak perasan, lama-lama macam yang itu yang jadi macam menyampahlah dia ni kan. How men have to improve on that?
Yeah, and I think that is true because it's not just bercakap, right? It's the non-verbal language yang kita bagi pasangan kita lihat. Is that kalau you cakap, ya boleh tapi muka macam tak puas hati, muka macam angry macam tu, then the woman also will see like, okay, means you nak buat ke tak nak buat ni, right? Bila I cakap I nak benda ni tapi you buat macam marah-marah, right? Macam example paling common ialah house chore punya example lah, right? Like boleh tak tolong buang sampah, boleh tak tolong cuci pinggan, yelah ya cuci tu macam tu kan. And
sambil marah-marah.
Yeah, marah-marah. Kenapa I belum? So then it feels like that's way slowly woman also macam kenapa I nak minta, right? Kenapa I nak bersuara? Kalau bila I bersuara, ini reaction yang saya dapat, right? It's more like you are doing because you are forced to, bukan sebab you actually rasa ini tanggungjawab sama-sama. And I think a lot of the time is wanita sekarang especially is like mereka nak rasa yang tanggungjawab dalam family, anything related to the family, the household is a together thing. Bukan saya je buat and then you buat benda lain. It's no more like that kind. It's more like can we do things together rather than saya minta baru you buat. Saya tak minta you tak buat. You tak ingat pun pasal
The
ni.
problem with men kan, kadang kita susah nak decode apa yang perempuan nak ataupun apa yang perempuan maksudkan. Lelaki ni kadang dia ada bodoh dia certain tempat lah. Sorry to say lah, tu macam ni macam in case lah kalau macam you marah ke, lepas tu bila the pasangan cakap tak, I tak marah pun, for them macam okay, dia tak marah, padahal benda tu maksudnya di sebaliknya kan. Okay, jadi macam mana seorang lelaki nak buat supaya pasangan dia tu lebih berterus terang? Sebab for me, lelaki sampai bila-bila pun takkan faham perempuan. In a way, pemahaman tu dia memerlukan usaha yang lebih sikit. So betul. How does you especially sebagai wanita juga kan, macam mana lelaki nak faham wanita tu sendiri?
Yeah, I think it's come back to macam kita punya upbringing, right? We never really train men to like duduk, dengar, listen instead of like perlu selesaikan sesuatu. So when it comes to relationship, sama je actually. Bila woman kata I'm fine or I tak marah pun, actually ada banyak sebab, right? One of the factor could be mungkin dia wanita tu pun tak pasti apa yang dia tengah rasai. Adakah saya marah? Adakah saya sedih? So dia pun tak tahu macam mana nak express to the partner, to the husband, right? And then another thing is also maybe dia takut juga kalau I bagi tahu I marah, apa akan berlaku, right? Would my husband pujuk atau dia lagi marah sebab saya marah, right? So there's another thing as well. Mereka pun tak pasti what kind of response would my husband give. And kebanyakan this kind of situasi is more about macam mana kita perlu tanya diri sendiri, right? How do I respond? Bagaimana I respond dalam situasi ini sebenarnya yang menyebabkan pasangan saya takut untuk share atau takut untuk jujur, right? It could be lelaki ke wanita, right?
It could be both.
Yeah, it could be both because sometimes I do have men yang bagi tahu like I want to be vulnerable. I want to tell them like I'm stressed, I'm overworked, I need her help. Tapi bila I cuba share ni kepada mereka, mereka kata, ya kenapa macam ni? Kenapa you lemah? Kenapa you tak pandai handle your stress, right? Then then the man also feel like, buat apa I nak bagi tahu isteri kalau dia tak nak dengar, bagus I bagi tahu orang lain, right? And that's how things can happen in relationship. So same with women as well. Wanita pun sama. Kalau dia cuba share macam saya sedih tentang ni, and then husband kata, kenapa nak sedih? Buat ni selesai macam tu. Then it's like, buat apa nak cerita?
Okay. On emotional part, the breakdown of from the communication tu, dia boleh buat jadi frustrated. From that frustration lah, saya rasa lah, akan buat both mungkin jarang bercakap, menjauhkan diri. Kalau ada problem pun cuba nak selesaikan sendiri. So as you as an expert on this field kan, apa cara terbaik, tak kira lah untuk lelaki atau perempuan ke, untuk sama-sama come to the middle point yang mungkin untuk solve perkara ni.
Betul? Yeah. So I selalu tell my clients is that you are a unit, right? Your relationship is one unit. Don't bring in your mom and dad into the picture. Don't bring whatever other culture that you have, what other belief that you have from your upbringing. How you want to handle your unit, you need to discuss as a unit, as a couple. Bincanglah macam mana you nak berkomunikasi, macam mana you nak relationship you menjadi, right? Just because you ada example from your mom and dad macam ni menjadi for their relationship doesn't mean that it works for your relationship. So berbincang, I would say berbincang dengan jujur apa yang you nak dalam relationship ini, because at the end of the day orang yang you akan bergantung terhadap is your partner, right? Pasangan you. So of course you need to know that I want to do this with you and can we do this together. Tapi ni yang masalah, a lot of couple dia tak bincang pun, even sebelum kahwin, even dah kahwin pun mereka tak bincang pun. Macam paling simple, bila nak ada anak tu pun tak ada orang bincang, buat and then tiba-tiba ada anak, then macam tak ready. Right? Husband tak ready, wife pun tak ready, then anak jadi mangsa, right? So things like that, even though it's a simple thing that we know we want to have, kita tahu yang okay, I nak ada anak dalam family, but we never discuss when we want to have it, and we diam-diam. Right? And tak bagus kalau you diam, because this kind of thing will happen, resentment. Sebab you macam, I tak ready tapi dia beranak pula, macam tu, right? So kita salahkan the other person, and that's where therapy usually will help to membantulah untuk jadi platform untuk memberi tempat yang selamat, ruang yang selamat untuk
a safe space for
a safe space for couple berbincang. Sebab kadang-kadang macam apa yang kita cakap tadi, we takut macam mana partner pasangan akan respond. So sometimes having a safe space, having a third person in the room can help moderate the session supaya dia tak menjadi fire lah, selalu saya kata eksplosif.
Okay, bila kita dah cakap pasal communication kan, pasal emotion juga, dua-dua ni penting kan untuk pasangan, untuk build satu hubungan yang sihat. Komunikasi yang jelas, satu komunikasi yang orang cakap dua-dua boleh terima satu sama lain, sama ada orang cakap apa, buruk baiknya satu sama lain kan. Is it true that lelaki harus belajar mendengar? Contoh saya cakap, isteri dia suka bercerita kepada suami tentang apa yang berlaku dekat office dia. Sampai kan suami dia pun dah kenal, okay, makcik Timah ni siapa, makcik cleaner tu nama apa, orang sebelah dia tu siapa.
Betul.
But it's opposite. Men, I think, jarang cerita pasal apa yang berlaku dalam sehari hidup dia. Dalam hubungan, is it penting untuk lelaki belajar mendengar? Kadang-kadang isteri ni dia nak meluahkan saja kan.
Betul.
Is it true?
Yeah, it is true. Sometimes, sebab tu kadang-kadang isteri atau wanita dia suka kongsi dengan kawan-kawan, right? Mereka tak kongsi dengan suami sebab suami kadang-kadang tak bagi respon yang mereka nak. So
what kind of response sebenarnya? Show some interest.
Yeah, show some interest, right? Sebab kadang-kadang, sebab kalau you tengok wanita dengan wanita, bila mereka bercerita, you tengok mereka very attentive, mereka dengar, dia like ya macam tu kan. Tapi bila you share dengan lelaki, tak tak semestinya husband, right? But even kawan lelaki, kadang-kadang you tengok macam okay lah, like okay macam mana you nak solve like things like straight away to solving ataupun macam tak minat lah ya, kenapa you all nak gosip pasal benda ni and things like that, right? So atau kita tengok phone, so it shows that you are not here with me, right? Kehadiran, your presence is not here. So I think yang paling penting bukan saja mendengar, tapi kehadiran. So bila wanita datang bercakap dengan pasangan, selalunya mereka nak rasa your presence. So put down the phone, don't look at the TV, just listen. Itu pun dah cukup sudah. Just
But
listen.
she have to choose the right timing juga kan. Takkanlah macam husband tengah tengok bola. Yang, I nak cerita kat you ni.
Yeah. So that's very common. Betul-betul. Yeah. Selalunya lelaki dia kata, tapi timing tu tak betul. Tu masalahnya. Then selalunya wanita akan tanya balik. Isteri dia selalu tanya balik kalau dalam couple session. Then when is the right timing?
Right? Bola ke air yang penting?
Betul. Akhirnya tu yang dicompare, right? Sebab masalahnya bila let's say if the wanita tu bagi you, okay, you tengok bola dulu. Then when would you come and find me, right? Bila you akan datang bagi masa untuk saya, right? Adakah selepas bola? Kadang-kadang selepas tengok bola, then dia buat benda lain, main game pula. Then lupa pula nak patah balik untuk comfort wife yang tengah nak cerita and things like that. So that's the problem usually. It's not that wanita tak suka lelaki buat their own activity or their thing. It's just that usually they don't come back. They don't come back. Dia tak tunaikan janji in terms of I will listen to you later. So itu yang lelaki pun perlu pandai is that kalau you tak dapat dengar sekarang, bagi tahu bila you boleh dengar, right? At least dia tahu like you will still come back because you still care for me. I'm still important, right? Not the bola yang important.
Okay, kadang-kadang bila dah lelaki, ini I cakap perspektif sebagai lelaki kan. Setengah lelaki bila dia dah ada masalah to be present, to be emotional, open with their partner kan. Sometimes dia akan channelkan kekosongan jiwa tu dengan buat benda lain. Itulah pergi mancing sampai pagi sampai malam, pergi main pickleball dengan kawan-kawan sampai 5 hari straight kan. So sebenarnya bagaimana lelaki harus channel perasaan tu tanpa rasa ego sebagai seorang lelaki tu, orang cakap tercalar kononnya lah.
Betul. And I think one thing of course tak salah pun nak pergi memancing semua tu is part of self-care juga. Tapi of course kalau kita terlebih excessively buat sampai tak ada masa untuk keluarga, sampai tidak menjaga family, anak-anak semua tu, then of course it's a problem, right? So it shows that actually banyak yang terpendam dalam jiwa, dalam hati, right? That you rasa yang you nak luahkan tapi you tak ada tempat untuk luahkan. And usually if we have a safe place, kalau you punya family, your pasangan is a safe place, usually that is a good place for you to meluahkan perasaan. Sebab you tahu that that my wife will not judge me, my wife will not criticize me, right? Takkan tengok saya sebagai lelaki yang lemah bila saya share semua ni. Tapi kebanyakan pasangan tak rasa yang dia boleh bercakap pasal ni, especially untuk lelaki, right? Because of the stereotype juga yang kita selalu dengar.
Macam stigma kan. Yeah.
The stigma yang we have, like lelaki kata, ya kenapa you perlu bagi tahu isteri you tak dapat buat ni, you tak boleh buat tu, you stress, right? So even men with men, lelaki dengan lelaki pun kalau mereka nak share kat kawan lelaki pun dia takkan share kan. Dia takkan share yang saya ada masalah kewangan. Dia mesti nak tunjuk like, oh I dapat beli kereta baru, I dapat buat ni and things like that. Tapi mereka jarang share. And for those lelaki yang dapat jumpa kawan-kawan lelaki yang boleh share all these things, is very helpful for them because itu menunjukkan yang lelaki sekarang lebih more educated in understanding that it is important to your mental health bila kita boleh luahkan perasaan, luahkan. And luahkan perasaan doesn't mean that you are weak. It doesn't mean that you cannot do it. It just means that you are human. You are just normal human yang memerlukan tempat untuk meluahkan perasaan. Sebab emosi is like that. We need to let it out. Then it can process. Then you feel better.
Okay, the combination of all that problem yang kita cakap tadi kan, it end up menyumbang kepada satu problem baru. It will disrupt the intimacy of the couples sendiri kan.
Betul.
Orang Malaysia sendiri kan, especially lelaki, bila dia dengar sex therapist, dia mungkin tak macam sex therapist. In their imagination, mungkin dia orang macam, oh macam ni. But actually, what does you as a sex therapist do sebenarnya?
Okay, so basically sex therapist, therapy untuk seks is more on focusing on not just the issue, on your sexual issue, tapi we also focus on your relationship, hubungan pasangan juga. Sebab when it comes to sex, it's about hubungan intimacy, it's about emotional connection, it's about safety, right? The reason kita ada masalah sexual is kerana we tak rasa safe. We don't feel safe in the relationship. We don't feel like we can express ourselves or be our true self. Like diri sendiri, right? We feel like kita perlu macam mask ourselves. So in therapy is to help you all to educate apa itu intimacy, what is a healthy intimacy, how to make you feel that you can be vulnerable, like communication, all these things yang kita cakap tadi. So we will help you in therapy to talk about all these things, to express yourself. And then only maybe we'll give you some tips on what are some of the things you can do to help make your sexual activity better, right? But usually the focus is, yang foundation is your relationship intimacy dulu. Improve that, communication improve, then usually the sex will come in gradually and easier in that sense.
Tadi Andra, you dah cerita sikit pasal what is sex therapist kan. Tapi in our society, dalam masyarakat kita, kita kurang tahu apa itu seksologi. Yang diorang tahu, seks semata kan. The word sex tu dia macam, okay, that the thing yang diorang tahu. But actually, what is sexology?
Okay, yeah. So I think ini memang selalu orang tanya, like what is sexology? Why do you want to become a sexology and things like that? So sexology ialah belajar tentang manusia punya habit, behavior. It's a human sexuality. So we are study about human sexuality. Kita nak fahami, understand why human do what they do in that sense. So lebih general, I would say. So it's not like sex therapy, dia lebih fokus only on sexual dysfunction and sexual disorder. Tapi untuk sexology, kami fokus on the whole thing, a more holistic view lah, I would say. So we also focus on why people do certain sexual crime as well, why people do this certain sexual behavior in relationship. So we focus on all the other factor yang boleh menyebabkan atau yang memainkan peranan kepada kenapa seseorang jadi macam ni, or kenapa sexual behavior macam ini berlaku.
Okay, you cakap pasal sexual behavior kan. Dekat dalam dunia ni kita ada macam-macam orang yang ada fantasi yang pelik bagi orang lain tapi tak pelik bagi dia. Contohnya pasal bestiality, necrophilia. For you, do you think this kind of mentality ataupun sexual act, is it go under mental illness ataupun macam mana?
Yeah, so it depend on whether the person act it out, right? Kalau mereka buat and then membawa kepada macam masalah terhadap diri sendiri atau kepada society, then it can be an issue, right? Whether it falls under a mental health disorder or not, or mental illness, a lot more factors, I would say, perlu look into. So it's not a very straightforward answer that this could be a mental illness problem, because there could be other factor why a person buat activity ini. Like I think one of the thing could be loneliness, loneliness, fear of rejection, anxiety in socializing. So that's why people choose to do something else, or communicate or talk with some other kind of activity, or like with animals and things like that.
Okay, dalam hubungan yang cakap intimacy ni kan, most people akan cakap love language tu penting. Tapi
Yeah.
lelaki ni dia tak faham apa tu love language. So basically what is the love language?
Yeah.
For
So basically love language untuk orang yang tak pasti what is that. There's 5 type of love language. So
ada
we
5.
have there's 5 5 love language, right? So we have like word affirmation. Let me check. I want to make sure I don't say the wrong thing, right? So I don't want to miss out anything. So one is like word of affirmation. So it means that macam pujian, kata-kata yang menghargai, kata-kata yang appreciation kind of thing, right? Compliment, appreciation. Then we have quality of time. So quality of time is more like spend time together. But when we say spend time together, is kehadiran. So just now I mentioned about the present, right? To be present in the relationship. Sebab kadang-kadang orang kata, oh yeah, we spend time together, tengok TV. Right? Tengok TV.
Both
Tengok TV atau both tengok dengan phone. Then I was like, do you really feel connected? Right? You rasa ke yang pasangan you tepi you tu? And then actually tak, right? So watching TV, makan together is very common kind of activity, but it's not, tak semestinya quality time. So quality time is when you really present. Pasangan boleh rasa kehadiran anda, and then feel that you are listening. You really want to spend time with them. So number 3 is act of services. So act of services is you do certain things without asking, without being asked. Macam you membantu, contohnya macam you membantu dalam house chore, and then your isteri come back and say like, tiba-tiba rumah bersih, right? So it's like I tak payah minta, and then you actually bersihkan tempat, awak bersihkan tempat. So that is basically act of services, and it could also be I like to do things for my partner as well, right? So physical touch. So physical touch is the one like selalunya orang kan fikir like, oh, physical touch means sex ke? Tapi sebenarnya bukan. It's not just sex. Physical touch is just like normal thing like cuddling, peluk, cium and things like that. It could be just that
But
as
for
well.
men, kadang-kadang dia misinterpret
Betul.
touch kan.
Terus
Bagi-
nak pergi terus pergi
bagi
sex.
dia okay ni on ni.
Betul. But actually, it's just a way of us to feel close to the person, right? So physical touch is more like sentuhan yang tak semestinya untuk seks, tapi sentuhan yang merasa yang you dekat dengan saya, right? So it can be all this activity, and then lastly, number 5 is receiving gift. So gift could be anything. It doesn't have to be expensive gift. It could be like flower. It could be just like you pergi grocery, then you beli coklat. Oh, sebab coklat ni teringatkan saya terhadap awak, right? So it's basically just a symbol. Simbol diingati, simbol disayangi, appreciate, dihargai. Basically feel the feeling of like I'm important. So actually all this love language, right? In general, whichever love language you are doing or whichever love language you are, is basically the person want to feel like I'm important in your life. I'm someone that you really care and you really appreciate and you still want me, right? Especially kalau kita dah 5 years, 10 years relationship kan, and then sometimes we also nak rasa macam actually saya masih disayangi ke tak, right? Actually dia masih nak saya ke tak? So when we stop doing all this activity after few years in our marriage, then we start wondering. Pasangan akan mesti fikir, dia masih sayang saya ke tak? Sebab dia tak buat ni anymore. Apa-apa yang dia buat in the early marriage dah tak buat. And that's what usually happen is when we stop memikat. Kita stop memikat just because you dah kahwin, just because you dah ada anak, just because anything, like we just think like tak payah sudahlah buat all these thing, but all these thing yang membantu untuk relationship.
Kadang lelaki dia bila dah lama kan, dia berada dalam ini I tak cakap orang lain lah, mungkin I pun macam tu jugalah. Dia akan berada dalam satu comfort zone yang dia rasa macam this is enough. I don't need to do more than this anymore kan.
Betul.
Tapi bagaimana kita nak ubah perangai lelaki yang macam tu? So what can, especially pasangan tu juga, macam isteri boleh buat supaya lelaki ni buka mata sikit?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's both sides. Sebab selalunya from apa yang I observe dalam most of the couple yang I see is that usually wanita dia masih motivated for many years untuk hint dia punya partner, dia punya husband untuk
Before the breaking point
yeah,
tu.
before the breaking point. Dia selalu dah bagi hint to like let's go on a date, let's go watch a movie, let's do something together. Tapi kadang-kadang pasangan ni maybe timing tak right, maybe that time is like very busy with something, some project or things like that. But it never come to your minds to do it, and that's where the breaking point is usually resentment start coming in, and then mereka akan kata I nak bercerai, I nak berpisah sebab I dah cuba, I bagi banyak hint sudah kat you tapi you tak buat apa-apa, right? And sometimes lelaki akan kata macam you ada bagi hint ke? I ingat semua okay je relationship. padahal banyak sudah terpendam, right? Like 5-10 years, and men usually say that I thought everything was okay in the relationship. Sebab
that's why I cakap lelaki ni dalam comfort zone dia kan.
Yeah, so that's where yes, isteri boleh berbincang dan bagi tahu. So one of the thing I usually suggest is buat macam monthly discussion, weekly discussion ke something like a check-in for your relationship untuk memastikan yang we are still on track. Like I'm still doing things that make you happy, you are still doing things that make me happy. And I think tu yang paling penting untuk keep you grounded, keep you check-in supaya you tak dalam dia punya bubble kan, ingat semua everything okay sebab wife tak marah saya okay semua macam tu, right? So have this check-in, I rasa have this check-in, then at least you know like oh actually wife saya nak ini tapi I tak pernah buat, or maybe next week, next month I boleh buat, right? So that is something you can catch yourself in a sense, but yeah, you need to catch yourself.
So talking about intimacy, most men akan automatic je intimacy equal to sexual punya activities lah. Padahal intimacy can be activity lain juga. Tapi diorang kadang ni tak tahu. Okay. So what kind of activity yang boleh membina intimacy tu sendiri?
Yeah, so basically it can be simple thing. It could be just talking to each other, right? And when we say talking, it's not just bukan satu orang yang bercakap. Kebanyakan wanita mereka pun nak dengar from husband side, from lelaki side, what is happening in your life actually, right? So like you say tadi, selalunya lelaki tak cerita pun apa yang berlaku kat office kan. Balik selalunya banyak lelaki cakap, bila saya balik rumah saya tak nak share anything, I tak nak bawa stress tu ke rumah kan. But that also make the woman feel macam I tak involved in your life because I don't know apa yang berlaku dalam kehidupan
Meaning
awak.
she felt being left out?
Something like that. So a bit like left out because I share everything to you. I bagi tahu mana saya pergi, apa yang saya cakap dengan kawan-kawan, apa saya makan, apa saya beli. But when it comes to you, I don't know what happening, right? You come back and then you come back from something and then you do your own thing. Then macam I'm not involved in your life. So rasa sunyi juga kadang-kadang even though I have you in my life but I don't know much about you. So bila we have this intimate time to talk, is dua-dua pun perlu bercakap, share. For example, tell me about your day, right? That could be like a prompt question. Then you tell your day, I tell my day. And bila we tell about each other day, don't judge, don't criticize each other, right? Just listen. Don't have to find a solution as well. The other thing is could be just basically doing things without distraction. That's the other thing. So kalau we kata nak berjalan-jalan, right? Go jogging for example. Then jogging together lah. Don't suddenly tengok phone, teks orang, bercakap
tinggal
ke.
semua tu dulu.
Betul? Tinggalkan everything unless it's an emergency, right? But other than that, just be present. Kehadiran itu penting. So basically in overall intimacy is more on kehadiran and then feeling close to you. That is what we want to achieve because it's not just about the quantity. Walaupun you kata tiap hari you buat, tapi kalau you tak present untuk aktiviti itu tak berguna pun. So lebih baik cari masa yang paling sesuai. So make sure you boleh hadir, you boleh present and you boleh focus in that session, I would say, that session with your pasangan, rather than do so many time but then tak hadir pun, otak kat tempat lain sebenarnya.
Betul. Sebagai seorang terapis dekat Malaysia ni kan, especially in this bidang kan, what is the common things, common theme ataupun common problem amongst pasangan di Malaysia yang you rasa perlu diberi perhatian?
Yeah, I think for us is kekurangan sexual education. Sebab kebanyakan couple atau individual yang datang untuk session, one of the things that we say is that I don't know much about this, right? Or like mereka kan bila we cakap-cakap dan say, oh, why people never taught us all these things? Kenapa tak ada orang ajar pun macam mana nak buat ni, buat tu, right? So that's where sexual education actually penting. Kenapa dia penting? It talks about self, the self part. Sebab kebanyakan when we talk about intimacy is express, right? Express yourself. And kadang-kadang pasangan akan rasa macam, why my partner, pasangan saya tak boleh express what she likes, what he likes, what she doesn't like. Sebab we tak pernah ajar pun orang untuk kenali yourself, your needs, your sexual needs, what you like, what you don't like. So of course the person cannot tell the other person, right? So even if the person want to do certain things, they not sure how to share it to the partner as well. So that is one thing. It's usually sexual komunikasi is one of the common I would say common issue that couples come in. The other thing is sexual problem. Yang selalu couple datang ialah sexual problem such as erectile dysfunction is common. For women, it's usually like vaginismus. That is a common thing as well. So
can you explain it? As a man, I tak say that I jarang dengar.
betul. Yeah, you see, it is a uncommon topic. So orang semua tahu pasal erectile dysfunction, tapi tak banyak orang tahu pasal vaginismus. So vaginismus, I would say is something similar to what men experience. Macam erectile dysfunction is kita tak dapat jadi kita tak dapat keras, right? Tapi kalau vaginismus is tak dapat buka.
Oh, faham.
Yeah, so basically we will experience pain, the muscle become very tight, and then you can't have sexual intercourse lah basically. So a lot of the times kenapa vaginismus atau erectile dysfunction happen sebab pressure from partners, like I need to perform, I need to be able to feel good,
basically dia stress lah.
Stress. It could be anxious juga. Macam especially untuk wanita, dia takut sakit, right? Takut sakit bila buat seks, and takut pasangan tak tahu macam mana nak mengurangkan sakitan itu juga, right? And that is very normal. Kebanyakan lelaki pun tak tahu apa yang dia perlu buat untuk membantu isteri dia yang tengah
So
sakit.
kalau macam case, sebab I read a few articles sebelum ni lah, yang some men feel frustrated sebab contoh dia baru kahwin kan, and then they have the intimacy first malam pertama, and then the next few days, the next few weeks, the wife always come with excuses, tapi dia tak faham kenapa. Rupa-rupanya sebab sakit. So for you as a therapist, what should that man do? Apa yang lelaki tu patut buat untuk tackle, sebab ini bukan masalah isteri dia sahaja sebenarnya.
Betul.
Ini adalah masalah institusi rumah tangga dia orang kan.
Betul.
What can you advise?
Sebab kadang-kadang husband pun tak ada experience kan. So sama-sama tak ada experience. But one thing about husband also lelaki, sebab bila kita tak ada experience, kita tak tahu mana nak cari, right? Who to ask. Nak tanya kawan laki, nanti mereka kata, ya takkan ni pun you tak tahu buat, kan? So end up siapa, right? So lelaki pun rasa lonely, rasa alone in this problem as well. So the best thing is you can ask your wife, tanya isteri you, macam mana saya boleh membantu untuk mengurangkan kesakitan ini. Selalunya lebih warm up yang lebih banyak membantu, sebab yang membantu untuk relaxkan masa, boleh membantu merangsangkan wanita juga. So sometimes listening, dengar apa yang boleh membantu. Don't just fikir mungkin ini boleh jadi, itu boleh jadi, right? Sebab setiap wanita ada their own body, their own way of getting arousal. So just because contohnya kalau macam lelaki tengok banyak porn, right? Then they thought that, maybe I do this menjadi. Sebab itu yang you tengok kat video. Tapi tak semestinya. You perlu tanya isteri you, apa yang dia suka, apa yang buat dia rasa good, right? Same goes to wanita juga, is you need to ask your husband as well, what make them feel good as well, what make him feel good, so that kita boleh membantu sesama together to actually build a better sexual intimacy lah.
Interesting you cakap tadi pasal lelaki dia assume dia tahu bila yalah, bila tengok benda-benda yang tak elok macam porn semua tu kan. Sebab in their mind dia orang ada fantasi sendiri. Okay, talking about fantasy kan, I boleh jamin setiap lelaki dia ada fantasi dia sendiri. And bukan lelaki je, mungkin perempuan juga ada fantasi dia sendiri. But there is a limit, atau mungkin ada limit kan. Kat mana you rasa fantasy tu is healthy for a relationship, and kat mana is not healthy for a relationship.
Yeah, I would say it's very normal. It's common to have fantasy sebab we are just human being, right? Kita suka imagine things, right? And it's nothing wrong kalau dia membantu untuk hubungan you, membantu untuk merangsangkan you, then it's fine, right? It become an issue apabila menjejaskan hubungan, ya, yang menyebabkan you tak berminat pun untuk bermesra, berasmara dengan your partner, dengan pasangan. You nak cari benda lain untuk puaskan, macam you nak cari porn for example, right? So end up that is a problem when we have the fantasy, but the fantasy is not healthy. It's not healthy amount anymore because dia menjejaskan hubungan intimasi dengan
Is it
pasangan.
because the expectation is
Sometimes could be the expectation because they like I have few clients who like those who watch a lot of porn, right? Yang tengok banyak porn, is like the expectation that they have about sex is very different. Or the arousal yang mereka rasai sebab mereka like masturbate, like sendiri. So the feeling will be different than when you do with another person sebab dia dua orang, right? So that kind of expectation, like I tak dapat rasa apa yang saya rasa bila saya tengok porn, bila saya buat sendiri. Sebab tu makin lama makin tak berminat untuk buat dengan pasangan and just continue buat sendiri sebab lebih seronok, lebih rasa, lebih bagus, right? So tu yang masalah dia, is because kita dah bergantung kepada this side and then tak fokus anymore. This is not
mentally
important.
dia dah switch to something different.
It's more like let's say you have coffee, right? And then usually one coffee per day is okay. Tapi sometimes we will take 2 coffee per day sebab dah tak cukup kau anymore, right? Then 2 coffee tak cukup, next time 3 coffee. So basically the kau itu dah tak cukup sudah. So you want more. And that's what happened with this kind of sexual problem as well, is sebab the feeling dah tak memuaskan anymore, then you nak lebih. Tapi bila you pergi kepada pasangan tak dapat bagi rasa yang sama tu, then we, instead of communicate or let's find another way to help ourselves, kita go back to this area, right? So that's the one that causing issue.
Okay, tadi kita cakap pasal fantasy and some couples ataupun some men diorang ada fantasi yang di luar kotak. Contoh they like to exchange their partners with another partners lah. In terms of dalam bahasa pasarnya dia cakap sebagai swingers kan. So do you think that kind of activity ataupun approach is good for their relationship or bagaimana?
So I would say that it's bergantung kepada pasangan, right? So it's more important to communicate. Kenapa kenapa nak buat, kenapa we want this thing, apa yang kita nak, what is the goal for getting this, right? Adakah sebab just nak lebih lebih seronok ke, nak explore more things ke, ataupun sebab we are not having sex, that's why we finding sex outside. Right? So I think sebab we doing this is important, and then kedua-dua pasangan mesti consent. Sebab kebanyakannya is what happen is that satu orang more like merelakan, tapi actually dia tak rela pun. So that's the thing like we nak avoid, is that we want to make sure yang dua-dua actually consent. If the other partner tak consent to it, then it's not suggested to do, right? That's where the communication comes in, because kalau you dah berbincang and then satu pasangan tu pasangan you tak minat, then jangan paksa, tapi bincang apa yang kita boleh buat in this relationship untuk lebih seronok, right? Sometimes it could be we can do something in this relationship, tapi kalau kedua-dua pasangan okay, tak kisah, then okay, as long both of you rela buat and you consent to it, it's not dipaksa buat. Tu yang paling penting lah. How you do it is up to you, as long as you communicate it together, and of course be safe as well. Jangan contract HIV, STI, all this thing lah. Make sure you be safe on that part.
Tapi kalau anda orang Islam, jangan buat lah. Ini in terms of cultural ataupun religion kan, is a no-no.
Yes.
Okay, Andrea, tadi kita cakap pasal fantasy. Setiap lelaki dia ada fantasy sendiri. But dalam relationship intimacy zaman moden ni kan, ramai pasangan yang memilih menggunakan sex toys dalam hubungan intimate diorang. Do you think this kind of sex toys yang digunakan dalam hubungan ni, is it good for them, or what do you think?
Yeah, so sex toy actually it can be a mechanism, a tools to help with the sexual activity, especially kalau macam pasangan atau kalau seseorang tu ada, let's say, disability kan, dia tak dapat guna badan bawah, right? So sometimes you need sex toys untuk membantu, untuk memuaskan pasangan anda, right?
Tapi
so
adakah dia tak membuat, contohnya lelaki tu rasa lagi rendah diri ke macam mana?
Yeah, of course normal. It is normal untuk mereka rasa macam saya perlu menggunakan tools untuk memuaskan pasangan isteri saya kan. Tapi it's not like a bad thing, because it doesn't mean that kita tak bagus atau tak pandai. Kadang-kadang is something that will help make the relationship better, because kalau kita tak ada keupayaan untuk buat, like maybe you all already, right, dah tua, and then tak ada energy untuk buat juga, tapi pasangan masih nak, right? So kadang-kadang kita perlu guna tools untuk membantu juga, untuk memuaskan. And sama juga pasangan boleh buat guna tools for you as well, to help you feel good about yourself. So I would say it's not a wrong thing to do it. Of course it's something that boleh cuba, sebab I rasa ada doktor juga yang recommend certain tools, especially untuk yang those that memang ada masalah badan yang tak dapat berfungsi kan, mereka recommend sexual tools juga untuk ini.
Okay, dalam masyarakat kita lah, especially orang Melayu lah, antara tema yang ada selalu keluar dekat tabloid ni adalah isu curang. So bila kepuasan ataupun hubungan communication tu dah breakdown, sesetengah lelaki and wanita, diorang cari solution dengan mencari pasangan di luar perkahwinan ataupun luar hubungan diorang kan. So sebenarnya sebelum perkara itu berlaku, what kind of reconciliation yang sepatutnya diorang buat?
Yeah. So that's why kebanyakannya bila this kind of curang happening is when we look at what happened, is kebanyakannya mereka tak berbincang pun dengan dia tak jujur dalam hubungan mereka.
Tak ada effort.
Tak ada effort. tak ada effort could be one thing, tapi it could be also like mereka tak berani untuk bersikap jujur dengan pasangan mereka. The common excuse that selalu I dengar kat therapy is that I don't want to hurt my wife or I don't want to hurt my husband by telling all this thing. Tapi when you buat activity ni, you keluar dengan orang and all this thing, you curang dengan dalam hubungan you, that is more hurtful actually than being honest yang you ada masalah ke, atau you rasa kurang dalam hubungan ni ke, atau you rasa something is missing, is less painful actually. Sebab bila ada curang happen, lebih susah untuk memperbaiki relationship nanti. Like if you come for therapy, it will take longer time. Daripada you come for therapy and say that, oh kita dah tak ada rasa nak berintimasi, boleh tak membantu. Itu lebih senang sebab at least nothing outside, tak ada orang ketiga, keempat apa yang masuk campur. So kita boleh lebih senang untuk membantu menyelesaikan masalah itu daripada bila you datang and say like we ada masalah ni, and then I buat masalah ni lagi. Then ada dua masalah untuk tolong you. Lagi
banyak masalah.
Lagi banyak masalah. So selalu nasihat saya is that if you rasa hubungan you tak as satisfied as last time, or tak macam ada something missing, something wrong, then come seek help. Seek help, come for therapy, check in and see what we can do to help you, daripada you pergi cari your own solution. Because some people, they think that this is me trying to find my own solution through test myself whether I masih boleh berfungsi ke tak, tapi you buat macam tu, you end up merosakkan hubungan sendiri juga.
Okay, lelaki bila dah kahwin kan, peningkatan umur tu akan berlaku. Tapi some of us, dia tak sedar yang fisiologinya ataupun badannya akan berubah mengikut masa kan. The testosterone level is going to be down. The libido is going down. Tapi dia mungkin tahu, tapi dia macam ignore it on the back of
dia
his
tak nak
head
bagi
kan.
tahu.
So sebagai sex therapist sendiri, apakah nasihat you pada lelaki yang mungkin mengabaikan perubahan fisiologi dalam badan mereka tu sendiri?
And I think this is common, even tak semestinya yang sexual part, even I rasa general men's health, right? Kebanyakan lelaki ignore all the body sign yang badan nak bagi tahu actually you makin tua, you perlu like slow down and things like that, right? Kita just degil punya orang, right? And I think that is very common, and I would say it's normal, right? It's normal. It's not because you ada masalah or anything. It's normal untuk stamina menurun. It's normal untuk testosterone maybe kurang, and all these things, health issue as we grow older. So berbincang dengan pasangan tentang apa yang boleh kita berubah in terms of activity sexual, right? Activity intimacy yang kita boleh buat, and selalunya if you feel like this, it means that pasangan you pun sama juga, dia pun melalui fasa itu kan, menopause and things like that, right? And usually untuk wanita lagi teruk sebab bila menopause, hormon tu memang lagi mengganggu feeling, intimacy, lubrication semua tu. So it's not just you, bukan awak seorang je, actually pasangan you pun melalui something macam tu. So talk to each other, find ways to help each other, right? It could be medication, it could be just changing apa activity yang you buat, it could be focus more on intimacy that is tak semestinya sex, right? So usually sebab tu bila pasangan usually datang session, I pun selalu recommend if you notice, kalau you notice yang masalah body you dah rasa macam lain sikit kan,
cepat penat,
cepat penat, tak ada stamina semua tu, seek help. seek help, medical help. Just go and check testosterone, check. Sebab one thing, right, sekarang doktor jumpa is that kalau you ada sign of erectile dysfunction, it could be also sign that you may be having heart problem.
Problem.
Yeah, so cardiovascular.
It can be related.
Yes, because they say, because it's all related to blood flow,
Blood flow.
right? So if that part already cannot have a proper blood flow, so it means that what's happened to your heart, right? That means there's high chances that your heart might not have the blood flow as well. So it's a way to prevent as well. So kalau you rasa something is not right dengan badan, go and health check up. I think health check up pun banyak lelaki jarang pergi health check up. Just like full body health check up.
Aku okey kot padahal.
Betul. Selalu ingat semua okay. Then bila dah ada masalah baru pergi doktor, then doktor cakap oh kolesterol tinggi lah apalah semua ni kan. So it's like basically macam kereta. Kita selalu pergi servis kereta usually twice a year or once a year, right? It's better than you hantar kereta bila dah rosak. Right? Because it's less things to fix. When you dah hantar bila dah rosak,
damage tu dah banyak kan?
berapa ribu you perlu bayar kan. Tapi bila you pergi every year just to service, maintenance, same thing with your body. You just bayar few hundred to do that health check up. Tapi at least you rasa macam tenang. Because at least you know I'm healthy. Apa yang saya boleh buat untuk membantu saya jadi lebih sihat lah in that sense.
Cari solusi sebelum terlambat lah.
Betul.
Okay, sebagai sex therapist atau sexologist kan, maybe you can share one or two communication practical yang boleh suami amalkan kepada isteri starting today.
Yeah, so I did write down to make sure that I boleh bagi tahu. I think one of the tip is basically I usually recommend like the check-in tadi yang saya cakap. Tapi this is something you can do every day. Like it's just like a 15-minute check-in kind of thing.
15-minute check-in?
Yeah, 15 minutes, 15. Right? So 15-minute check-in. So it's more like after at the end of the day, maybe you can just sit down and find time bila you dah free lah. Like macam budak-budak pun dah tenang tidur ke apa. You pun dah tak ada apa-apa nak buat kan. Then that's where you focus on, you can do this check-in. And then it's more on like, just have a short discussion on like, how is your day? Do you need anything from me right now? Or maybe sometimes I will say when you just come back from work pun you boleh do a check-in like apa percentage you sekarang. So what's your percentage in terms of energy, right? In terms of your health. Sebab kadang-kadang we stress. Battery energy, right? Because sometimes pagi 100%, but lepas stress apa kerja semua, maybe 20%, 10%, right? And then, but maybe another person, even though work everything, but they can still have maybe 50%, right? So it's good to know your percentage as well, because at least your partner pun tahu, pasangan you pun tahu like, oh okay, you tengah very tired now, you are very stressed now because of work, so you are maybe in the 10-20%, then at least I tahu apa yang saya boleh buat untuk membantu, right? And I can check like, what do you need? Do you need a hug? Do you need me to help with anything? Right? So that's one way kita boleh create that intimacy with each other as well, right? To make sure that we feel connected every day. And sometimes just 10-15 minit pun cukup sudah. Tak payah like, selalunya orang ingat quality time.
Actually 10-15 minute to talk sebenarnya is quite lama juga kan.
Yeah, it's consider cukup sudah untuk membina that keintiman. Because kadang-kadang orang rasa quality time tu mereka ingat perlu pergi vacation lah, perlu ambil satu hari cuti ke. It doesn't
pergi spa.
Betul, it doesn't have to be that. It can just be luangkan masa 10-15 minit, just sit down with each other and talk about things, right? Anything, right? And just listen. Don't have to chip in terms
but
of
avoid
like
confrontational
solution.
talk lah.
So that's why if you nak buat confrontational talk, macam ada masalah yang you nak bincangkan, then you find another time to talk about that, right? So there is this tips whereby people say you have happy time, you have serious time. So happy time is like, could be this kind lah, like this kind of chill, just listening kind of conversation, talk about your daily things. But serious time is where you have a conversation yang serius, yang isu yang membimbangkan, maybe isu yang you rasa macam tak selesai, then you nak berbincang dengan lebih mendalam, macam mana nak selesaikan masalah ini, right? So then you can have a separate time. And bila you nak buat conversation yang serius, also need to check in with yourself. Pastikan you pun tak stress during that time. No distraction. So we want to make sure we are present. Kehadiran tu penting, right? Make sure you are present. Make sure that you are focused to want to do something about this. So yeah.
Okay, tadi I cakap pasal lelaki dan fiziologi. It's a normal thing. Bukan normal. It's a common thing bagi lelaki untuk atasi masalah hormon testosteron rendah, libido yang kurang. Tapi di pasaran sekarang orang cakap kita boleh mencari solusi ataupun membantu, bukan solusi, membantu untuk lelaki kembalikan tahap testosteron ataupun energy level kepada yang lebih baik. Contohnya kat sebelah kita ni kita ada New Prep ERX kan. For you as a sex therapist, is it important untuk lelaki mencari bantuan seperti ini untuk jadi lebih baik lah?
Yeah, so I think that's where macam self-care is important sebab kesihatan fizikal, kesihatan mental boleh membantu untuk masalah intimacy juga. So of course supplement macam ni atau anything that you want to try boleh membantu. Of course medical check up pun penting, macam tadi cakap medical check up is penting. Workout, exercise, right? So sometimes kenapa we tak rasa macam nak intimate dengan pasangan is sebab energi kita kurang. Energi kurang, stress terlebih, right? So itu menyebabkan tak berminat. So kadang-kadang it's not because pasangan buat benda salah or anything. Sometimes it's sendiri tak ada energi untuk merangsangkan badan you. So badan you pun jenis yang perlu energy untuk kalau when it comes to sex, right, we need energy untuk merangsangkan badan juga, right? So of course ambil supplement macam ni boleh membantulah untuk menguatkan energy kita balik lah in that sense.
Tadi you cakap pasal self-care kan. Okay. Selain daripada mengambil suplemen untuk improve their health, improve their energy level, what kind of self-care lagi yang sebenarnya lelaki perlu tahu?
So of course yang common, yang most men do, yang I dengar is of course workout. Workout senaman selalunya membantu mereka. That's very common and it's very good because workout can help dengan hormone stimulation, dengan melepaskan energy as well. And then it could be yang lebih common in therapy, sometimes we say journaling untuk luahkan perasaan.
Journaling?
Yes, journaling.
Menulis. Oh.
Yeah. So kadang-kadang macam bila we marah and then tapi we tak nak
kita tak ada channel.
Yeah, tak ada channel and then we don't want to say to this person. Kadang-kadang marah dengan bos, right? Tapi takkan kita nak bagi tahu bos yang you tengah marah kat dia kan. So you tulislah apa yang you marah dengan you bos macam ni, kenapa macam ni, right? So that also can help, right? Is like just express it in a different way. Kadang-kadang orang guna art sebab tu sekarang you tengok banyak arts activity, right? Banyak orang banyak workshop for arts, melukis ke.
So should the couple do it individually atau do together?
So you can do individually or you can also do as a couple activity. So kadang-kadang I recommend juga like you can go like those painting ke tufting ke,
making pot
making
kan?
clay pot lah apalah. So cooking class ke boleh je go as a couple or you can also go as an individual. Kalau it's your kind of interest, then you can cuba sendiri dulu lah. Kalau partner pun minat, pasangan you pun berminat, boleh buat as a couple activity. It's also a good time to be intimate juga sebab you are focused, right, on doing something together. You are building something together. So this kind of activity lah boleh membantu juga.
Okay. Last one I want to minta advice daripada you lah, mungkin kepada penonton-penonton. Your last advice about how pasangan suami isteri atau partners can bridging up their problem together supaya komunikasi, emosi dan seterusnya energy level antara couple ni bertambah baik. So what is your last advice?
So I would say yang tadi kita cakap pasal emosi kan. So a lot of the time is basically kehadiran adalah penting. So when we want to talk, bila kita nak berkomunikasi dengan pasangan, kita juga perlu hadir semasa
Be
komunikasi.
present.
Yes, be present. Don't just say okay, let's talk. Tapi you otak bukan kat sini, hati bukan kat sini and things like that. Make sure you are present fully because that is a non-verbal cue yang pasangan you boleh rasa actually. So even though you say I'm talking, I'm listening, tapi kalau you are not present, people can feel that. And I think that's the most important is whenever we want to do anything with each other, whether it's nak bercakap, nak buat aktiviti, pastikan you are able to focus because that shows the other person that they are
effort
important.
kan.
Yes, effort. I am putting effort because you are important. Saya betul-betul menghargai you. I appreciate and want you in that sense, right? So this is me showing the effort. So itu yang we nak tengok, and itu yang selalunya that is what most couple whenever they come for session, basically they just want to see effort. They want to see effort that you are making changes. Walaupun changes tu kecil, tapi to them as long there's effort, I appreciate that effort and I can have hope that hubungan we all can improve in that sense.
Okay, Andrea, thank you so much for your time today. I rasa banyak perkara yang I belajar hari ni kan. I rasa penonton dekat channel Maskulin ni pun banyak belajar perkara baru. Ingat, perkara paling penting dalam untuk merapatkan hubungan, memulihkan hubungan tu sendiri adalah communication dan bagaimana kita nak channel emotion tu dengan cara yang betul. Banyak tips yang telah Andrea kongsikan tadi. Kalau ada masalah, boleh rujuk, tengok balik video ni dan pick up perkara-perkara yang penting. Dan kalau diorang ada personal soalan, mungkin boleh hubungi dia juga kan.
Ya, boleh.
Dan lelaki di luar sana, kalau ada masalah, rasa penat, rasa lemah, rasa tak kurang bermaya, mungkin boleh mencari solusi untuk menambahkan kekuatan tu dengan New Prep ERX. Sebab produk ni dia ada tongkat Ali, dah boleh membantu untuk mengenhancekan anda punya testosterone level dan memulihkan tenaga anda. Okay? Sekian dulu daripada aku, Pijo. Semoga kita jumpa lagi di episod akan datang. Gentle Cakap, Krisis Kaum Adam. Ingat, setiap krisis ada solusinya. Sekian, terima kasih.